Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome to RLM Herbal Ideals. Coming to you from here in my yard. And I'm actually walking today. Hi. So, one of the things that I decided to start doing again is taking a walk. It's been a while. It's been over a year since I've taken a walk, and most of you who have followed me, you know why. Um, I lost my baby a year ago in some months, and that has not been good for my weight control. So today I am taking a quick walk. It's only going to be about 30 minutes, but I'm not going to have you on the line for that long. What my plan is to just take a look around and see what's going on, what the status is of so many folks' yards, and see what vegetation has been able to hang out. Um, oh, somebody just got a new fence put up and it's blown down. The bayou is looking okay. I can't even see a water line as to, here, let me let you take a look. Can't even see a water line of debris. So that just tells me that the drainage system here worked pretty well. Yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit about something that I had asked you all a while ago. And this was basically about, I think it was a New Year's thing. So I asked about what is one thing that you would change. And I did get a couple of responses. Not all were through the platform that I used, but they reached out to me personally. And wow, I gotta show you guys. And folks have had some stuff, lots of fencing blown down. Squirrel. One person told me that they would change their outlook on life, and I asked them how so. And what they shared with me was they're just living to exist and not existing to live. And I can relate to that quite a bit. When we look at some of the things that we want to change, we all tend to look at things with respect to caring for others and doing things for others and doing charity, which is good. I'm not knocking that. But you also have to take care of yourself. Okay? Because if you don't take care of yourself, how are you going to do all of those other beautiful things? You need to take time out to evaluate where are you prioritizing you in your life, right? You have to prioritize you in your life. You have to consider what impact you have on someone and what impact it would be if you were no longer here. So if you are looking at your family life, your work life, your church life, those aspects of charity, what would happen if you were not here? Who would take care of those people? Would those people be able to take care of themselves? Are you nurturing people to evolve to their better self? Are you preparing your children, your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews, your younger cousins? Are you preparing them to be able to step out and live in this world? Um, are you teaching your children to exist, or are you teaching your children to be independent, resilient survivors, trailblazers, leaders in this world? Right? Those things are important. They are very important. So I can't speak for everyone else, but at some stage in your children's lives, you need to teach them to think through challenges and problems. Teach them how to look at the opportunities or the different paths they may have to handle a circumstance. You know, if we don't do that, what are we teaching them? You know, it goes into that old adage, if you give a man to fish, he eats for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. So, are we influencing people to live for the day? Or are we influencing people to live and thrive and survive for a lifetime? I raised my sons to think, you know, after they get to a certain age, they have to develop logical and rational thought. Does it make sense to just walk the street blindly? Or did you teach them to stop, look both ways when they cross, or wait till there are no cars coming? Or did you just say, oh, when the light turns green, you go? Right? Technically, yes, that is a true thing. But you also have to let them know that not everybody follows those rules. And not only do they have the right to go, but they should look left and right anyway to see if there are any turning cars. Yeah? So that's just some of the things that I wanted to reach out. I'm not gonna, like I said, I wasn't going to make this long. I just wanted to speak on a couple of things. Well, lots of damage here. You know, we want to ensure that we are preparing for our futures, that we are teaching not only to utilize the technology that we have, but also we want to ensure that people, our children, our grandchildren, nieces, nephews, whomever, have an understanding and a foundation to do things without modern technology. How many people know how to start a fire without a lighter and lighter fluid, or turning on a gas stove? How many people know how to do that? There aren't that many. I know there's a lot of controversy and what have you for the Scout Associations of the United States, but I tell you what, they teach survival skills. They teach how to make a shelter when you have none. They teach how to make a fire. They teach how to forage for food. They teach how to tell directions when there is no map, when there is no GPS, right? Most of you know I'm here in the Houston metro area, and we just went through that Hurricane Beryl Look at this. This was a beautiful tree and it's been stripped. I remember these because my dog and I used to stop and pause here. Wow. You know, what are some of the things that's essential to life? Food, water, and shelter. What if those things are gone? And I'm not trying to be doom and gloom, but again, the Houston metro area went through Hurricane Beryl. We lost power. Most people, well, let me just put it back to the statistics. They said that 2.26 million people in the Houston metro area lost power. Today makes 2 weeks where Beryl has gone by and there's still people without power. How are they surviving with this? What if the grocery stores never reopened? What if power never came back? How would you survive? Do you have a store of hard time food, as my mother and grandmother used to call it? You know, some of the people still think the same way. You have some bread, some potatoes, some rice, and some beans. You keep that in your cabinet at all times, right? Flour, in case you can't get the bread at the store or you run out. You can make your own biscuits with some flour, a little baking soda, pinch of sugar. You know, you can. That's how you would survive. That's what you would eat. Okay? Soak up on your beans. Yeah? Soak those beans and build a fire and cook your beans. Right? People plan their food, their meals back then a day before. If you had a lot of mouths to feed, what did you do? You started them beans, you soaked them beans overnight the day before, right? Let them soak well because fire and gas is at a minimum. Then you'd build a fire and cook those beans over that fire, adding whatever you needed to add. You know what I mean? That's what you did. And if you had to eat rice and beans, then hell, you ate, rice and beans. It wasn't a choice. You ate to survive. And it was usually something that was protein dense, carbo dense, and depending on where you're from, you had that stuff that was a bunch of fat and dried meat rolled together in what looked like summer sausage. And you ate that. So consider how people survived in the past for us to be here today. If they didn't have that resilience, we wouldn't be here. Not at all. Consider looking into alternates. Consider looking into alternates of food sources for yourself. I know you probably have been on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram and you read about these people who are growing their own food. I guarantee you, anyone who was in the path of this storm, they weren't worried but so much whether or not their crops would get through it. And likely they probably tried to harvest what was ready ahead of time so that they had a food store, right? So those are the kind of mentalities that we need to always hold dear. I'm not going to say get together. I'm not trying to scare you. But all the things that have to hold dear. This week, with the global IT outage, it brought the world to a halt. No one could use the bank. No one could. 1,000 flights were canceled, right? Thousands of flights were canceled. The airports were clogged. We could not do anything. The world was paralyzed because of that event. What did you do? What were you able to do? What if this event happened in the winter? And you had nothing to hold on to, right? You had nothing as backup. All I'm going to say is, keep in mind that the world as we know it, the world as it is today, might not be that way tomorrow. How are you preparing for hard times? How are you preparing for difficulties? Loss of infrastructure. If you don't have a plan, it's going to be tough. I'm not telling you to stress over it. I'm not telling you to work on it. I just want you to think about it. Okay? Just think about it. Sometimes the things that happen do affect our thought processes, our worries, and then that leads to stress, and that leads to implications for our health. So think about what you want to have in your arsenal, whether it's a mental arsenal, your cabinets, your fridge, to handle that stress. What do you need to have in your arsenal? What do you need to be prepared for? Those of you who own a home, you might want to think about grandma or great-grandma's root cellar. Baby, go down in that root cellar and go get some of them canned peaches. And I don't mean the kind that's put in a tin or aluminum can that you buy off the shelf. That stuff can be preserved for years if you do it right. But anyway, a lot of people are struggling right now. They're managing the best way they can. How are you going to manage? Do you have coping mechanisms? Do you meditate? Or do you pray? Because all of that can weigh in on your health, both mentally, physically, and emotionally. And right now, everybody needs to have a foundation of stability and peace. So, find that stability, find that peace, put it in your arsenal of preparedness, okay? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, and I would love to hear how you prepared. Have you prepared? Are you thinking about prepared? And are you planning to prepare? Or are you just going to say, Jesus, take the wheel? I was watching someone last night, and they had a good point. You can ask Jesus to take the wheel, but if Jesus comes and he needs you to help, how can you help? Lead Pharma 73, that resonated with me. But anyway, so I am about halfway through my little walk. I haven't been doing this for a year, like I said in this video. And I think I'm handling it pretty good. I'm talking to you. I'm not out of breath. I'm walking at a decent pace, not my old one. That's something you want to try and consider, building up your endurance. And doing so, it can improve your health. Walking is what I use for stress management. It very gently works out stress, especially if you take the time to look around you. Look at the trees, look at the grass that you might see on the way. Aren't those beautiful? There are lots of them here. Check the flowers that you see on the way. You know what? I don't know what those are, but I'm going to check to see if they have medicinal properties or are they edible. Wouldn't be fond of harvesting from there because I do know that they use pesticide, but tell you what, in hard times you do. It's more about eating than anything else. I'm almost at the last leg of my walk here. I'm approaching the school. But yeah, so consider that. It's the middle of summer. If you wish to start an indoor garden, I highly recommend you do so. I wish that the world was the way it used to be when people weren't so suspicious of each other. Where people could come together in community and barter. That really doesn't happen anymore. Once upon a time, I can go and buy a cup of sugar for a cake, right? And the first thing I would do when that cake was done is bring in a piece or two back to the person that loaned me the sugar as a way of saying thank you. That's bartering in its own right. It looks like the elementary school was unscathed. I lost some branches off trees, but that's about it. But anyway, I hope you all have a beautiful and blessed Sunday. This is Herbalist Torah, RLM Herbal Ideals. You have a blessed Sunday and a beautiful beginning of your week tomorrow. Peace and blessings.